Russia responsible for the election meddling. Why would he ever say that?
Well, I mean, let's step back for a second. I mean, let me explain what I think he's trying to do, and let me also explain why it's not working and why I think he has to reverse course immediately, and he's got to get out there as soon as possible before the concrete starts to set on this.
It's starting. I mean, already Republicans in Congress
he has to reverse course
more than we had heard.
Here's what I would say. If you're loyal to the president, okay, which I happen to be very loyal to the president, loyalty right now requires you to tell the truth and sit with him and explain to him the optics of the situation, why the optics are bad, the strategy in terms of trying to get along with Vladimir Putin and deploying a strategy of going against the intelligence agencies is very bad. And then the last thing, as it relates to the execution of what you really want in the world, which is global peace and prosperity, you've got to back up the U.S. intelligence agencies here.
Why isn't he doing that?
So, well, I think again, I can only explain it from my vantage point. I think that he's looking at the situation as a contrarian, as an entrepreneur, and he wants to have a very good relationship with Vladimir Putin, and he wants to suppress the anxiety and the antagonism between the two nations that have been present for the last 5 or 6 years.
Why does he seem to want to have a good relationship with Vladimir Putin over a good relationship with his own intelligence agencies?
Well, you see, that's where I think the dilemma is. I think that he's made a very big mistake here. He's got to reverse course immediately.
What would that look like? Reversing
you
course
live in the
immediately.
city? Do you live in the city?
I live outside the city.
Okay, so in the city about 3 or 4 years ago, a couple of police officers, unfortunately, were killed. The entire police department turned their backs on Mayor de Blasio. I don't know if you remember that situation. I do remember that. He reversed course. Okay, Mayor de Blasio and I are different parties, and I'm not in love with the guy. But his course reversal was very, very smart. We have the lowest crime rate now in the city.
Fine. So just show me what
He's got to reverse course.
What would that look like today? What can President Trump come out today and say and do that you think would be effective?
His smartest, most loyal aides and his smartest, most trusted advisors that are super loyal to him have got to get to him right now and say, listen, this is a grave mistake, okay? You've got the German foreign minister speaking out against us, the optics of the situation. You know, you're an aesthetic guy and you're a media guy. The optics situation are a disaster. I understand the course objective, but we got to change strategy.
But again, so what today could the president say to the American people that would allow us to unhear what we heard yesterday?
I'd be issuing a statement. If you go back to Charlottesville, the president had it right in the early part. He came back to the White House. He issued a statement after Charlottesville. Then he went to the press conference in the Trump Tower.
And both sides.
And then he made that statement, which I think was a regrettable statement. But he's got to get out there right now. This is a
And just craft that statement for me. Just tell me the statement.
I think
that would make us unhear that he blamed America.
I think the statement is very simple, that after talking to Dan Coates and my team, the evidence is obviously irrefutable. We spend, I don't know, $30–40 billion acquiring this evidence. Men and women have lost their lives acquiring this intelligence. These are my people. I'm the commander-in-chief. I've looked at the evidence, and I misspoke at the press conference yesterday. And so
why has he never said that, Anthony?
I've been very tough on Russia.
Anthony, hold on a second. Why has he never? He's had 18 months to say something like that. Why has he never said that? Surely he knows what the intel looks like.
Because the president is sore about the questions of the legitimacy of his electoral success. And the president is conflating the two issues. He's tying the collusion accusation, okay, to the irrefutable evidence that the Russians meddled in the election. You see what's happening? So by conjoining those two things, he's getting very frustrated and he's getting emotionally charged.
Is it possible? Hold on, Anthony. I have a question. Is it possible that he's putting his own ego over
that's what I was just going to say.
The United States and our reputation?
Well, I was just going to say that, okay, and I want to start out by saying anytime I put my own ego in place, particularly in the White House, okay, that's one of the reasons why I lost my job, frankly, okay? When Reince Priebus was coming after me and blocked my OPL position and the president eventually gave me the comms job position, I had my ego in place, okay, and it caused me to do things that were mistaken.
And that's what he's doing.
I lost my job. And so I'm here to tell you, anytime somebody puts their ego and their pride in the situation, they can get emotionally charged and they can make tactical and strategic mistakes. And I believe he did that in Helsinki yesterday. And I believe that honest people inside the White House that love the country, love the president, and are loyal to the president will look him straight in the face and say, Mr. President, This is absolutely the wrong
Like
strategy.
who? I'm just curious. Who do you think is going to say that to the president?
I don't know. You know,
because let me tell you something.
I don't want to say somebody's name, and because here's the problem: is some of the people in the White House really like me, and there's one or two people in the White House that actually really don't like me.
I understand
so
why
you're
you're in a
suggest somebody's
pickle.
name, and then they go on the most wanted list.
The reason I want you to say somebody's name is because we want some accountability. So here's the deal. Yesterday, Bill Shine, whom you and I both know very well, the head of the new communications, here he is, the head of the communications now in the White House, has basically your job. He was with the president in Helsinki. Sarah Sanders, you saw her there. She was with the president. You think that they have any control over what the president says?
Not really.
He said, he talked about America's foolishness and stupidity even on their watch.
I don't think they have control, and it's not really even about control. What it is about is trusting your inner self and telling the truth, okay? You know, we read in the first grade the story about the emperor not having any clothes. And if the emperor has no clothes, you've got to be the one person in the room that says, hey, look, I'm really sorry. Like you, look, I'll speak for myself. I spent 2 years on the campaign. I gave several $100,000 to the PAC, the campaign, and the inauguration.
And you lost your job.
And I lost my job after 11 days. And by the way, it hurt my company. Okay, so I'm sitting here as a very loyal guy.
I understand that, and I appreciate that.
You got to switch tactics here.
But who is ever going to tell the emperor he has no clothes?
Inside the White House?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I do have a close relationship with many people inside that White House.
It doesn't seem like anybody really says this to the president.
But here's the problem. What's happened is because there's been so many firings, there's been so many defections, and there's been some impetuous activity in terms of the way people get fired. People like their jobs. They like the access.
Yes.
That's part of Washington, which you and I don't like. Maybe you like. I don't like that part of Washington. And so what happens is you're like, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to keep my mouth shut here, and I'm going to foil. I'm going to go into the path of sycophancy here.
Yes.
And this is the absolute wrong situation to be doing that.
It's not
absolute
working,
wrong situation
Anthony.
to be doing it.
Anthony,
and so, like Rand Paul is an example.
Yeah.
I get where Rand Paul is coming from. And I, too, want peace, and I do want to figure out a way to have mutual interest with Russia. I totally understand the issues related to Russia and the threat of Russia as a nuclear power.
Yeah.
But this is absolutely wrong.
So then
you've got to reverse course immediately.
Okay. So you're recommending that the president put out a statement today and say what you said, say what you recommended that he say, and unequivocally for the first time...
Well, maybe not say what I'm saying.
Say
he's got smarter people in the room than me. He's got smarter people in the room than me.
Okay.
He should sit down with his team. He's got some great people in there. You mentioned Bill Shine. These are great people. Sit down, formulate a statement, reverse course immediately.
Why haven't they done that? It's 8:08 in the morning on the East Coast, Washington.
They haven't done that because I think, number one, there's a general reluctancy for the White House to ever backtrack on certain things.
And ever apologize for anything.
There's a general reluctancy to apologize, although he did apologize to Theresa May at the press conference the other day. I think you caught that. He did apologize after the Access Hollywood tape.
Do you think that we're going to hear an apology today?
I don't know. But let me just give you these other 2 points. He walked back the child separation policy, and he decided the decision to bring the flags down half-mast after the
So occasionally
Gazette
he reverses
shooting.
Course, and you think that
He's got to
today
He's got to reverse
we will
course.
see that?
Because here's what's going to happen. If he doesn't reverse course, he's creating unnatural alliances against himself. He's got Republican Party members that want to support him, that are going to switch on him now, and they're going to conjoin themselves to the Democrats, and he doesn't want that right now.
Yeah.
He's got so many things going on so well in the economy, so many things going on so well in terms of what he's doing right. This is a glaring optical mistake. This is a glaring strategic mistake.
Is it a glaring belief system mistake? Does he believe what he said? Let me just play for everybody. Hold on one second. Let me just play for everybody.
I think he's
when he
conflating
said
the
both
issues
sides
of
were to blame. This was
collusion
him yesterday in Helsinki, and I just want to play the president's own words so you can tell me if this is what he believes. Okay. Listen to this.
I hold both countries responsible. I think that the United States has been foolish. I think we've all been foolish. We should have had this dialogue a long time ago, a long time, frankly, before I got to office. And I think we're all to blame. I do feel that we have both made some mistakes.
I remember when President Obama said anything mildly critical of the United States, I remember the hue and cry among Fox News and among Republicans who said he was part of the Blame America First crowd.
All right.
That's blaming America first, isn't it?
Okay, but let me just, again, I'll explain it, okay, if you want to hear it. Okay, what he's basically trying to say there is that the tension between us and the Russians, in his mind, is completely unnecessary at the level, the threshold level that it's at now, and that there is blame on both sides to try to bring the tension down. That's what he's basically trying to say.
Because it sounded a lot like he was saying that America, the victim of election hacking, was to blame.
Allison, I understand that. That's one of the reasons why he's got to walk this stuff back. But what I think he's doing right now is he's conflating the two issues of collusion and the Russians actually meddling in the election. And he's saying, wait a minute, people are going to say that my electoral success is delegitimized by all this. That's the expression of the frustration.
I understand.
That's where he's coming from.
But again,
he's got to knock it off.
The office of the presidency has to be bigger than any one person's ego, as you pointed out. Something else interesting happened yesterday. Or I think that this was either Sunday or Monday. CBS asked the president about Dan Coates, the DNI, his warning. He is sounding the warning bells. And what he said is that he sees red lights flashing about what's to come for the midterms and 2020, the way it was, the way red lights were flashing before 9/11. It's that dire of a situation. There's that many warning signs that Russia's going to do it again. The president was asked about this. You know what he said to CBS? Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that. He doesn't know whether or not Russia's going to try it again. How can the president of the United States not know that, Anthony?
I'm not here to speak on behalf of him in terms of like what's inside his mind. I'm here to offer an objective, someone that's loyal to the administration, someone that tried to help him become president, and someone who actually sacrificed a lot, frankly, to have that happen. Okay.
So why are you so loyal? You have sacrificed so much.
Because here's the reason. Okay. He, in my opinion, if you look at the economy, you look at the progress that we've made on policy, and you look at economic growth and opportunity in the inner cities, African-American unemployment, Hispanic-American unemployment, and you look at the in general direction that the country's going in, it's very, very good. If you look at this specific issue is very, very bad. And if he doesn't switch course on this, what will happen is he will eventually lose people that want to support him, okay? And so I'm a very loyal guy. You know, when my friends are in trouble, I like running towards my friends, not away from them. I've always done that in my life. We've talked about Michael Cohen here on this show. I feel that way about Michael Cohen.
You've done a lot of running towards the White House.
I have, but this is a major mistake, Allison. And so if they don't reverse it, this is not a mistake of words, by the way. This is not a bad PR kerfuffle.
Mistake of what?
This is a mistake of strategy.
And
this is a mistake of execution. This is a mistake of thinking, and you've got your ego involved. And let me tell you another thing you're doing. You're conflating the issue of Russian collusion with Russian meddling. Okay, don't conflate those two issues. Okay, I believe that the president didn't collude, and I accept him at his word there. But I also believe, Dan Coates, that the Russian government and Russian intelligence officers are trying to disrupt our democracy, and they're trying to make Americans lose trust in the faith of their democratic institutions.
The president needs to do something about it.
He's got to speak out about it, and he's got to reverse course immediately. And I'm telling you, if you don't reverse course immediately, what ends up happening is unnatural alliances are going to build up in Washington and outside of Washington.
Listen, you're already hearing Republicans speak out in a way that I'm not sure they have.
By the way, don't miss what the German foreign minister said. If the president said he's having a great time in NATO and NATO loves him and they love him, don't miss what the German foreign minister said.
Which was?
The German foreign minister said that we're now worried about the United States, and we're now thinking about the United States as us and them being in a potential adversary.
And that's very troubling.
It's very bad for the United States. And I want to say one last thing. I know you got to go to break, but you have to understand the reason why we were spending more money on the military, that was a strategic decision that was made 75 years ago to make sure the United States had military superiority over all other nations.
Tell that to the president.
But I think it's important for the American people to understand that it's not like when he says pay their bills. I get that. If you want to make an adjustment to the new world, the post-World War II order.
It's the president who's upsetting that world order.
Okay, but Allison, we made a decision to spend more money so that we would be the military superior nation because we believed in our benevolence and our democratic system.
Yes, and we had more power. We could call more shots, and the President Trump is changing that.
So it was worth that money, Allison. Okay, and the people are not really understing that.
And I don't think anybody is that a euphemism for President Trump?
Well, I think the president, I don't know who's talking to him, okay, but Secretary Mattis should say, listen, In 1945-46, we demilitarized Japan. We demilitarized Germany.
Yes, I know all of this history.
We put the system in place.
It's President Trump who's
and we spent the extra money so that we wouldn't have to worry about these guys having military.
Maybe he's listening to you this morning. But we gotta go.
Adversaries turn into allies, and allies turn into adversaries. You got to be careful.
We're seeing that happen, Anthony Scaramucci. We appreciate you giving us a window into the White House. Thank you very much.
It's great to be here, Allison.
Thank you.